Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Rebelwatch. I'm your host, Campbell Holmes. Alongside me today is sports reporter Sawyer Ravino and Walker Farmer. Since Easter break is coming up tomorrow, we have decided to make the live show, the sports show, the best show ever. First off, we're going to be talking about Ole Miss baseball. Obviously, we've been seeing that they've been getting hot. They kind of cooled down this past weekend and on Tuesday, losing the series to Tennessee 2-1 on the weekend, and then a tough loss at 11 a.m. Tuesday game, Little Rock 7-3. Let's talk about Tennessee first. Obviously, Tennessee took the win Friday and Sunday. We got that win on Saturday. One of our sports reporters, Caitlin Salas, was there to catch the win, so let's take a look.
With a very competitive series this past weekend, the Tennessee Volunteers took the win. Although Ole Miss had a remarkable comeback game for the second game of this three-game series.
I think you get to this point, our guys understand the competitiveness of the Southeastern Conference, and you got to show up not just every day, but really every pitch, and stay in the fight. They've done that. They've really done that all year long.
As the Vols were previously ranked number 5, with Ole Miss following as number 6, this caused this competitive nature, alongside a few previous transfers that went from Ole Miss to Tennessee, including third baseman Andrew Fisher and pitcher Liam Doyle.
It's a little bit different, just got to take it and move on. At the end of the day, we're competitors and we're trying to get after it, and we have the same goal in mind, and that's win. So we kind of put that first before everything else, and later on we'll do whatever, but right now it's about winning.
With Luke Hill's head in the game, he had one home run along with catcher Austin Foley, leading the game on a high note. Wheels were also seen from Hayden Federico with many base slides, and great pitching was done by Riley Maddox.
Just executing some pitches. I think that's kind of what I've been doing the past 2 weeks that I didn't do for a few weeks before that, just making a little better pitch here and there and trying to get off the field.
What a great comeback game for your Ole Miss Rebels here at home. At Swayze Field, I'm Caitlin Salas, and you're watching NewsWatch Ole Miss.
Thank you, Caitlin. Yeah, obviously that was a great game for the Rebs on Saturday, but obviously we could not get that done Friday or Sunday. Sunday being the most frustrating, if I'm being completely honest. I thought that they could have won that game for sure. They definitely had a chance, and they kind of just blew it. Some players I obviously saw that were really good for the Rebs. Mason Morris on Friday, pitching 5 scoreless innings in the first game. Obviously we didn't get that win, but it was a player that we saw that does have potential for these upcoming series, for instance, South Carolina next weekend. I think he could be a good one. Somebody that I was very frustrated with was freshman Walker Hooks. I know, he was very frustrating. He allowed 5 runs for Tennessee in just 1 inning on Sunday. Obviously, that secured the Vols win. That right there is what made them win. And so it was frustrating seeing that. Did I think we were going to win the series? I had my doubts, but I do think that Tennessee's obviously a better team. I think that they showed that. Obviously, Judd Utermark still says Rebs are best in the nation, and he still has that confidence. Good for him. I think Tennessee was better. The Rebs have, it's just like that one more game. Like, they can't get that Sunday win. They didn't get the Sunday win against Arkansas. That was the number 1 seed. We couldn't get it against number 5 Tennessee. Obviously, it was really frustrating. How are y'all feeling after that series?
I thought that series was really electric. I thought it was really fun to watch. And like you said, I want to point on that because the Rebs have kind of solidified themselves as like almost a second-tier team. Like, there's some teams you can't compete with. Georgia's looking really good right now. Tennessee, even Arkansas sometimes up there. And I feel like the Rebs, to your point, we're battling, we're there, but we just can't get like that extra game at the end. But I think their game was awesome. A great series. Me and Walker were sitting with each other at that Sunday game. We were nervous. We were like, there's a lot going on right now. And to your point, they could have and they should have won that game. They needed 3 outs in the 9th. Didn't get it done. But there's a lot of hope. I mean, it's not a bad. You can't look at the series and go, oh, we lost to Tennessee. Oh, this is awful. But like, they played great other 2 games. They played well, and they're hanging in with the best team in baseball, in my opinion. I think they're looking really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, first off, I want to say I really agree with what you said there, Sawyer, about the tiers in the SEC. I think we can kind of all agree that first tier is Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas. They're looking really good right now, at least the SEC. And then Georgia and LSU are 2 other really good teams. And it was just like that Arkansas game, like you said, Campbell. We had a chance to win the series that last game. The Arkansas game, we were 1 out away. And then the Tennessee series, we were just 3 outs away, top the 9th. If we would have gotten 3 outs, we could have won the series. And then we just couldn't quite get it done. But there's still a lot of bright spots that we saw this weekend. Just winning a game was super important. This was a series we could not get swept. but just winning in one game was very important. Really love what I saw from Austin Foley.
Yes.
Hit a home run in every game. His bat's really starting to pick up, has 9 homers on the year. That's towards the top of our team with the most home runs. So I think he's kind of solidified himself with the catcher position, and I hope he continues to play. They're playing really well. Luke Hill, another guy who had a great weekend, which was great to see because he was really close with Andrew Fisher when they were on the same team together. I know Andrew Fisher and Liam Doyle came away with the series win.
They got what they wanted.
Yeah, they dominated, especially Andrew Fisher getting a home run that last game. But I'm glad Hill still had a good performance this weekend. He had a home run in that big win on Saturday, kind of flashed Ole Miss, in the front. That was really cool to see. Yeah, just shout out Swayze. Great environment this weekend,
Awesome.
one of the best in
Awesome.
college baseball. But, it was still a good week, and we were able to get that one win. Like Friday, it was just Liam Doyle versus Hunter Elliott, really low-scoring matchup, and then Liam Doyle just got the best of us. He's proved once again that he's the best pitcher in the entire country. Yeah. But like I said, just one win was important to do that, and I like what I saw to have optimism for the future. Like we talked about the tiers. We don't play any more Tier 1 teams the rest of the season.
Right.
Starting this weekend, we have South Carolina. They're only 2-13 in the SEC, so I'm hoping for a good weekend there. And then we have some other opponents after that aren't too challenging. So I'm still hoping for a strong finish, and we're in a fine position right now.
I think we're fine too. Obviously, like we said, we aren't necessarily disappointed in any way about the Tennessee series. What I am disappointed about is that that midweek matchup against Little Rock, 7-3. Obviously, Ole Miss used 6 pitchers in that game. Luke Hill, thankfully, had 3 of the 7 hits for Ole Miss. Thankfully, he's still looking hot, like you said, in the Tennessee series. He still did good in that game, but that was the first time Little Rock has beat Ole Miss since 2010, and that was their first ranked win since 2023 against Arkansas. So, the stats for the game, I would say, are very frustrating. But nonetheless, you're going to have a bad game every once in a while. You're going to have a surprising loss. I'm not necessarily worried about it in any way, but it was definitely tough to watch.
No, I'm not worried. I think they're trying to get some more pitchers in there. The bullpen definitely seems to be an issue of late. I know in that Sunday game, they had 5 runs in that 6th inning. So we got some pitchers in. I think we had 3 pitchers in that 1 inning or something like that. So it's like they're trying to get these new kids in there, new going. But again, we saw in the 8th and the 9th against Little Rock, they got runs scored and we weren't able to come back. So I'm not worried. But I just want to see maybe our starters going a little bit longer, maybe to help out those relievers towards the end.
For sure.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm worried yet. It's definitely concerning losing to Little Rock like that at home. But again, it's baseball. You're going to lose some games, even to teams that aren't as good. It's a midweek. It doesn't hurt us a whole lot just losing
11
that one
a.m.
game.
I was about to say, midweek, 11 a.m., bunch of kids out there
but
yelling.
it's a lot
You know what?
different, yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Fine.
No, we can lose one.
Yeah,
here
I
and
mean,
there.
it's not your normal baseball atmosphere,
Right.
obviously. It was packed, but it's packed with a lot of kids. The crowd noise is a little different.
The excuses for Ole Miss baseball.
Yeah, but I don't know if I necessarily would want to play in front of a bunch of kids like that. But still, it just showed we couldn't really finish a game there at the end. We were down 2-3 and we tied it. And then in the 8th and 9th inning, Little Rock scored 2 runs each and won 7-3. That is discouraging. It's just the thing that worries me the most right now is our pitching. It hasn't been the best. Same in the Tennessee series. We had some bright spots. Mason Morris, like you talked about, pitched really well, along with Riley Maddox in the win on Saturday, also pitched really well. And I know he's been criticized a lot recently, so good for him. He's had 2 good weekends in a row, good starts. But I think the main thing now to just focus on is South Carolina.
Yeah.
I don't think we should be worried yet. We're in a fine spot. We're 27-10 on the season, 9-6 in conference play halfway through. But I'm going to do what I did against Missouri. I'm going to call it now. I think we're going to sweep South Carolina.
Okay.
I will say I'm not as confident as I was in that series, but I think the important thing, as long as the Rebels just win the series, I would love a sweep, but as long as we win, we'll be okay. But I will say, if we do lose this series somehow to South Carolina this weekend, that's
Then
when
we can be worried.
need to start to get worried, yes.
Yeah, for sure. Ole Miss baseball South Carolina series next weekend. When we get back, we're going to be talking about the Ole Miss softball team. We'll be back.
go? Someplace warm. A place where the beer flows like wine. Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called
Oxford, Mississippi. To see it is to believe it. You hear about it, but you just have to see the party.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grove.
The sound and fury are here.
Let's go, let's go, let's go.
Then he got a toe down.
Pageantry, the pride, the pomp is unmatched and unrivaled.
This stadium has come unhinged.
This is what college football is all about.
Oh, as he gets walloped.
No coach is having more fun than Lane Kiffin.
This is the place to be in college football right now.
Welcome back. We're now going to be talking about the Ole Miss softball team. Obviously, they've been hot recently, but they also took a series loss this past weekend against Florida at home, 2-1. Florida took the first two games. Thankfully, Ole Miss took the third game to avoid that sweep. First game, it was a crazy game. Both teams notched 24 hits and 15 runs. The lead kept going back and forth. Then, obviously, Florida won 8-7. Second game, Florida pretty much absolutely dominated. They won 14-3, but then the third game, thankfully, Elijah Benford hit a grand slam, putting them top in the fourth inning, and then obviously the Gators did come back to tie it up. Thankfully, in the last inning, Ashton Lanzell came through with a diving catch for the upset to avoid a sweep. Obviously, that third game was pretty electric. It was a fun series, just like the baseball series against Tennessee. I think, again, this is something not to be worried about. Obviously, we were number 19 coming into the game. The Gators were number 8. Okay, obviously, we're going to see probably Florida dominating just a little bit. We were able to keep it close in that third game. Essentially, we're avoiding a sweep. Softball's been hot recently. I think that this was coming, and it was needed just to cool them down a little bit. Obviously, they play Georgia starting tonight for a series, and then the next week is Tennessee. Obviously, two teams that are going to be hard to keep up with, but I don't think this is something we should be disappointed about. It was fun. It wasn't a sweep, and I'm thankful for it.
No, I think we're looking good right now. Kind of same as a Tennessee baseball series. A better team. Now, upsets happen, but maybe not all the time, and we can't win them all. You really can't. Better team. Florida was raking the whole series. So, I mean, I'm not too disappointed about it. Like you said, they got to come down at some point. They were really hot, and that's really good to see them kind of going off in the SEC, early SEC play. But as we move forward, again, Florida's not much better, but they're a better team than they are. And so when they play Georgia tonight and tomorrow, I'm looking for them to at least take a couple of those games.
For sure.
Yeah, I liked what you said, Sawyer. This one reminded me a lot of the Tennessee series also for softball against a very good team. Like you said, Campbell, ranked number 8 in the country. And especially just the rough start they had to lose a heartbreaker game 1 and then get demolished game 2, 14-3. It says a lot about this team to come out here when the series was already done, Florida had already won, to come back and then win the series in a close game, game 3. That's really encouraging to see. And I think that just shows how good this team can be. This team has made a regional every single year since 2016, and that was their first time ever been making one.
Right.
And they made one every year since. But they haven't hosted a regional since 2019, and that was the last time they also even won a regional. But I think this year's team could kind of break that streak, all starting with the Georgia series this weekend against a team kind of similar in ability to them, ranked 23. So I'm expecting them to get a big series win there this weekend and then continue to play well and hopefully have a chance to host a regional, possibly even win one. And then if you win a regional, you have a chance to make the Women's College World Series, and that would be Ole Miss's first time ever doing that. And I think this year's team has a chance of doing it.
I think they do too, and I'm liking how we're comparing the softball and baseball team because they are very similar in the fact of they're both very, very talented, and they're kind of the best they have been in a couple of years, like you said. And so, I think that the Georgia series this weekend is a very, very important one to win. I think that, they still do have their confidence, like you said, obviously getting demolished on Saturday, coming back and winning on Sunday. You're not winning the series and you know that, but you're still able to get that win. That's something that says a lot about them mentally. I think that they would be able to get this win in Athens, and then hopefully a Tennessee win at home would be great for the program. But I think that they're looking really good. How are you feeling about the Georgia series?
I'd say it'd be huge for the program if we could win that game. No, but I like the fight that this team has. They obviously scored 3 runs in the. Florida scored 3 runs in the 6th and 3 runs in the 7th, and so they could have been obviously, like you said, discouraged. They could have been game's almost over, get the series, get out of here. But no, they were willing to fight, and they kept going, and that's what I like to see also out of the men's. Not to keep comparing them, but runs late in the game, and they're not giving up, and that's what it's about. I mean, when you get later into the series, you got to keep fighting. Every game matters. So if they can continue, like Walker said, against the same skill set team and continue to fight, they'll be good. They'll be good. So I'm feeling confident.
I think so too. Ole Miss softball starting tonight against Georgia in Georgia. When we get back, we haven't talked about them in a while. Ole Miss football. We're going to be talking about NFL Pro Day and who to look for. We'll be back.
The dynamic freshman is starting to make his impact. Dagger with the shot clock down to 1.
That 3-ball drops for Jamin Brakefield.
Fagan from the corner with a triple. Burrell for 3, and that's a big response. 3-ball, yes. Miss shooting lights out of the pavilion. And give him one more. Wow. Alley-oop. Well, you can't teach that. Well, that should give Ole Miss a boost.
NewsWatch is a student-run newscast that goes live every week, Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock.
NewsWatch is more than just a college team. It is an immersive learning experience. You learn certain skills that help you in your future journalism career.
Rebelwatch is just a cool experience because I want to do something in the sports world. So just to get the chance to do that on a platform like this, it's just a great opportunity.
We are the only live station in the Oxford-Lafayette area, with Tupelo being the closest. We cover all local news.
Welcome back. We're now going to be finally talking about Ole Miss football again. We've been missing it. Obviously, NFL Pro Day here in Oxford was a couple weeks ago. One of our sports reporters, Macy Ivy, got to see all the action, so let's take a look.
Many Ole Miss football players are looking to hit the big leagues as Pro Day finally made its arrival, with plenty of NFL scouts in attendance. The 2024 to 2025 team might have been one of the best that the program has ever had. 26 Rebels participated in Pro Day, with one of those being quarterback Jackson Dart, who has already caught some eyes with his performance in the NFL Combine. Dart is projected to be an early pick in the draft, as he had just over 4,200 passing yards this past season with 29 touchdowns.
Yeah, I don't really care where I get drafted. In my mind, that's just where the journey starts. I have bigger goals and aspirations than just getting drafted to the NFL. So.
Wide receiver Trey Harris, even after coming off a few injuries, is a very notable player. Harris and Dart were quite the match this season, as Harris had barely over 1,000 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. Defensively, J.J. Pegues might be one to look out for, especially considering he's known for playing both sides of the ball. Pegues did participate in the Combine, where he impressively ran a 5.15 40-yard dash. One of the last key players is defensive tackle Walter Nolan. Nolan was a transfer from Texas A&M and made his way to Ole Miss, where he absolutely dominated. He has been projected to be a top 10 pick in the draft after putting up amazing numbers in this past season with the Rebels. Princely Umanmielen performed impressively at both the Combine and Pro Day and said that his singular year at Ole Miss has prepared him for the NFL.
my 1 year here, I feel like I've grown just as a player, mentally.
Many Rebels did not get an invite to the Combine, but definitely made an impression on the scouts today. One of those being Caden Prescorn, who didn't perform as well this season, but he still had 401 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. The NFL Draft is set for April 24th through 26th, where we'll find out what teams these Rebels are going to. In the Manning Center, I'm Macy Ivy, NewsWatch, Ole Miss.
Thank you, Macy. Yeah, obviously we saw a lot of Rebels, 26 to be exact. It was a great NFL Pro Day, I'd have to say. They were really impressive. And, like we were just talking about while the package was playing, Jackson Dart is looking amazing, both, performance-wise and physically. I think that he's going to be a really top pick. Who are y'all feeling like they're going to go to?
I've been feeling high on Jackson Dart the whole time, over Milroe, over Shador. So I'm really high. Oh, yeah, if you want to get into it, I'm feeling really high on him. So I feel like he might go 9. I have him going to the Saints. They definitely need a quarterback. Derek Carr's not been getting it done. As a Saints fan, I'm not the happiest, and I would love to take Jackson Dart. So I have Jackson Dart going at 9. I have 2 other Rebels also in the first round, Walter Nolan and Amos going. So those guys are a little bit later in the first round. But I'm happy to see that we got 3 probable Rebels going in the first round.
Yeah, for sure, Walker.
Yeah, I think Jackson Dart has solidified himself as a first-round pick.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, if he did not end up getting drafted in the first round, I'd be pretty upset. I guess
I would be honestly really surprised too, not trying to be biased.
No,
but.
Yeah, I think it would kind of be similar to Will Levis a few years ago. Everyone thought he was getting drafted first round, was actually at the draft, which Dart will be at the draft also.
Yes.
And then he didn't get in being drafted. But Will Levis also, I feel like a lot of people had more concerns about him than they do Dart. I think it'll be similar to Bo Nix last year with Dart. A lot of people didn't think Bo Nix was going to get drafted very high, and he ended up getting drafted around 10. So yeah, I'm thinking with Sawyer, I'm really hoping he gets drafted 9 by the Saints. I think that'd be great for Ole Miss fans also, just being so close. Yeah, everyone would just be diehard Jackson Dart fans, so that'd be really awesome. I've also seen him maybe going 21 to the Steelers, which I think would be a good spot for him too, but I'm hoping that would kind of be the farthest he would fall. And I do want to say, just speaking of Jackson Dart, I don't know if y'all saw the rumors kind of right after the football season ended where he was trying to come back, get a waiver, and get another year of eligibility.
Yeah.
Well, Lane Kiffin confirmed with Theo Vaughn that they actually did try that. The NCAA denied it, but yeah, it might have been crazy we could gotten Dart for another year, but
I think Oxford would have gone into flames if that happened.
Yes, it would have been insane. I think it would have been really exciting, but honestly, I feel like it worked out the best. There's a lot of hype around Austin Simmons, a little bit of change. Dart's been our starter for 3 years. I think he has a lot of potential. And just for Dart, he's still going to get drafted really high. I don't know if he really would have changed his draft stock much in 1 year, but just awesome for Dart. He's been working so hard his whole career. He's going to get drafted most likely first round. And then speaking of the first round, I think, sorry, you kind of hit I don't know the term right now. I'm just going to say you were right. You predicted Trey Amos and Walter Nolan getting picked in the first round. I think they're the most likely Rebs to also get drafted in the first round, but Princely also could get drafted first round. I feel like not likely, but it could happen. And just overall, I think Ole Miss is going to break the record and get the most Ole Miss Rebels drafted ever in 1 year, which is going to be awesome to see.
Yeah, for sure. This is the year. Next Thursday, NFL Draft. When we get back, we're going to be talking about the NBA Play-In Tournament. We'll be back.
Going to be a hot one out there for move-in weekend, Ole Miss. Good luck this year, Reb.
You did it. You're home. I can't wait for you to discover the true meaning of Hotty Toddy. It's a cheer that connects us all to the red and blue. It's the moment that begins when you step on campus and continues long after you turn your tassel. I can't wait for you to discover your legacy and make the world a better place. Are you ready?
Hi, my name is Lars Roberts. I'm the director of the Student Media Center on the Ole Miss campus. We have a lot of vintage Ole Miss yearbooks available for you. If you're missing a yearbook from whenever you were a student on this great campus, or you know someone who was an alum, go to the Ole Miss Marketplace website and order a yearbook that you can either pick up at the Student Media Center or have delivered directly to you. If you need a yearbook from 2008 or 1988, we have it for you. Books are either $25 or $35 depending on the year that you want. Go to this link, choose your book, choose whether or not you want to have it delivered, and it'll be in your mailbox in a matter of days.
Everyone has a ritual, that small thing that keeps us focused. A habit we never skip to clear our minds and elevate our performance.
But what do you do to keep your head in the game, to drown out the self-doubt and support your mental health? Because being your best isn't just about taking care of your body.
It's about taking care of your mind and mental health. Discover the resources you need to keep your mind focused and your mental health a priority.
Welcome back. We're now going to be talking about the NBA. Obviously, postseason is in play. Play-in tournament has started. There's been a few games. One game I do want to talk about, the Grizzlies and Warriors, 121-116 Warriors in Golden State. That game was just really obviously important to me because I'm a Grizzlies fan, but also I think it's really important to show how NBA teams, like, you're either ready for the playoffs or you're not, and I think this was a prime example of that. Obviously, Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, you're not going to beat them when it's, Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson trying to go against them. Obviously, Grizzlies, 5 seconds left to go. Mind you, we did fire head coach Taylor Jenkins 3 weeks ago. 5 seconds left to go in the fourth quarter.
The most dangerous guy.
They hit the ball in bounds, and that is why we lost. That is why the Grizzlies lost, is because they had a timeout. They had a full timeout to create a whole play, and then all of a sudden, they can't even get the ball in. 5 second violation. Grizzlies lose 121-116. I think that is a prime example of you're either ready or you're not. And obviously they play tomorrow against the Dallas Mavericks in Memphis. I think they're going to get that win, but at the same time, I think that it is one of those that you're either ready or you're not. And then, like, if they do beat Dallas, they play the Thunder. And I think that the Thunder is going to win it all.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those where you can't win them all. So, yeah, have you all been able to watch any of the games?
You can't win any of them.
Yeah, well, you can't win any of them, so.
No, but that's just basketball 101, and that's what happens when you fire your coach midway through the season. That's not a that's a coaching. I think that's a coaching issue, and so like you said, I have the Thunder winning it all, and I know it's not been fun watching #1 Florida also win it in college, and now I have the #1 team Thunder thinking they're the best. But I mean, it's just good basketball. The Thunder's been unstoppable so far, Shea and all them. I mean, I have them going far, and actually I have them beating the Cavaliers.
I do too. Yeah. Oh, well, I actually have the Celtics beating the Cavs, and then they play in the finals against Thunder. And I was really confident in the Thunder last year, but I always thought they were too young and they weren't prepared or mature enough for the playoffs. And we obviously did see that. They're just such a young team. Yeah. And so I think that loss last year is now prepared them to win the whole thing this year, in my opinion. Who do you think is going to win?
Yeah, I'm just going to go kind of like with how March Madness was this year, all chalk. I got the 1 seeds meeting up in the finals, just like Elise Sawyer does. I know you have the Celtics, which just makes sense, especially because the East was a lot more close in the standings. The Celtics were only, I believe, 3 games behind the Cavaliers. The Thunder, they were 16 games in front of the team that ended up second place. That is just insane. I don't think I've ever seen that before. So I expect the Thunder to beat the Grizzlies. I'm going to say, hey, at least I do think the Grizzlies, they'll beat the Mavericks, though. I do think the Grizzlies will beat the Mavericks tomorrow and end up making the playoffs as the 8th seed. But, yeah, I think the Thunder will beat them, just go through the West. And, yeah, I think the Thunder are going to win it all this year.
I think so, too. Obviously, Magic and Hawks win against each other. 120-95, Orlando Magic win. Bulls Heat win against each other 109-90. The Heat have won, and then Mavericks Kings last night 120-106. So honestly, all these play-in games have been very, very close. So I think it's going to be a good playoff series so far.
Yeah, I was going to say, as much as I want my Lakers to go all the way, it's not going to happen. So.
It might. Who knows?
You never know.
Who knows? Unfortunately, that is all the time we have tonight. Again, I'm your host, Campbell Holmes. Alongside me, Sawyer Ravino and Walker Farmer. Be sure to tune in next week, and good night, everybody.